Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop's Place Garage. It's the beginning-ish, close to getting the middle of August here in South Texas. It is hot, it is super hot. So I'm gonna turn the fans on here in a minute, so bear with me, man. The fans are gonna be a little loud, but I've got a cool video today. We're finally starting some real work on the Ultima Chopper, the big red chopper. We call it Beastie. We got some parts in. The owner, Lauren, he's been saving up some parts money, getting some parts here and there. So it's been on the back burner a little bit for now while I finished up some other projects that I had. But I've got some parts here for the starter and the clutch. I think I have everything that I need to try to spin the engine over finally. We've never fired this bike up. He's never fired it up. And it's been about 10 years, I guess, that this bike's been sitting. So we're gonna see if this thing will pop off today. Let me show you what I got. Okay, before I turn the fan on here, it just came outside, so I'm not too hot yet. I've got some stuff here. I got the clutch push rod, which we were missing. We've got the push rod adjuster and release plate, I think that's called, with the lock nut. We've got the clutch hub nut, which I was missing, and the release plate clip there. And then we've also got from Spike Performance, I think it is, we've got everything we need to put the starter together. We had the starter, but we were missing everything, you know, from here out. I think I had the little collar on one starter. Actually got two starters here, but I've got that thing here, that coupler here again, and I've got the starter gear, all the little pieces that go with that, the long bolt, clip, bolt. So we've got some stuff. We've got some stuff for that stuff finally. Here is the Ultima. This is the 113. I've got the inner primary off so I can get to the starter stuff and see what I need to do. Compensator is just sitting on there finger tight, so I can get it back off real quick to put all that primary chain stuff back on. But yeah, we're gonna try to spin this thing over. It turns over by hand, and carburetor is not on it right now, but I've got it inside. We're gonna put all of this stuff together for the primary first. We're gonna put the starter stuff together, get the inner primary on, then get the clutch parts on there. That way I can hook the primary chain up and spin it with the starter. There's a good shot of that Ultima Chopper 9-footer. This is the Softail frame model. Threw some freshy handlebars on here. They're not brand new, but they're a lot better than the other ones. I'm not sure if you got to take a look at the old handlebars. They were real rusty, so these are different. I have removed that transmission drive pulley. We're going to go chain drive on this thing, so I'm going to be leaving that off for now. So let's see what we can figure out on this thing with the, I'm going to put the starter on first. I've got two starters here. I'm sure you can hear my fans by now. I've got some really loud fans on, but it's about 100 degrees in here, so I need that. This one's ugly, but I know it works. So we're gonna try this one first, and I may test this one a little later, see if it works good. If it works good, I want to change this because this one's got the push button starter on it. This one does not, so I'll have to switch that stuff over if we do decide to use this starter. Alright, off camera I stuck the starter in there, just kind of, here she is right there. You kind of see the starter right there behind the transmission ear. Got her sticking through there like that. There's the new collar, coupler, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to slide that on there. Now I think I need to set the inner primary on here. And then these bolts for the starter, they come in through the back I have found those 2 bolts in my bolt bucket. They'll come in through the back and thread into that inner primary. So let me get that inner primary set on there. Here's our inner. Let's see if it doesn't hit that 4x4 and keep me from getting on there. I might have to rethink the deal here. Let's see what I got. Oh, it clears my 4x4 good. That's pretty much where that's gonna go. Here's my 4x4 down there, so that's good. Now I'm going to start a couple of bolts in the primary here so that I can get it more or less. I'm gonna leave everything loose and then try to get those starter bolts started. This is just a mock-up pretty much. Okay, so I will find some washers to put on these bolts. Some of those lock washers. You know, the type that lock the bolt into place or something. I'll see what I can get, but for now I'm just going to put the bolts in there so I can test fit everything and maybe even test fire it, but we won't leave it like this. Need to throw that starter jack shaft in first. Let me double check that. Alright, I couldn't show you bolting the starter on there because I can't even see it. The camera couldn't see it, so I've got that starter snugged. Now I think I can put this in. Okay. There's that guy right there. And you'll be able to put this bushing in like that. Now I believe the spring goes in if the instructions are right. Spring, and then this piece that direction, and then this long bolt. Of course, that doesn't catch. Well, what is this bolt supposed to catch on there? Let's see. Alright, I've taken those starters back out. Now I can see what's going on here. This bolt that it came with is for this starter. That fits on this one. This starter, it's not that it's stripped out, it's just that that one has apparently a different size center bolt. So, easy fix. Just use this guy. Alright, try this again. That guy in there, this guy in here. We have this washer, and you see this has got a little keyway in it right here. So we want to take note of that. This washer has a little slot in it. And then it's got a lock washer. It'll fold over the bolt. That little thing fits into that keyway there. Alright. Well, it's actually trying to thread into something now. I guess I should have cleaned those threads out before I committed to this, but I didn't think the threads would be dirty. Let me get something to fit that, and that's going to spin the starter if I try to tighten it too much. So I'm going to have to be pretty careful with that. I might even have to take the starter out. Make sure the threads are clean so I don't fuck anything up, because I'm probably going to have to hit that with the impact to tighten it, being as that starter will spin. Okay, I didn't have to use an impact. I didn't have to take the starter back out. I was able to, when I push this thing in, it kind of holds the starter shaft, so I was able to hold it in and work this bolt in carefully back and forth and kind of clean those threads out. I did that a couple times, pulled it out. I blew it out with compressed air. Try to get those threads clean so I didn't damage a thread. I got it in there. Got it in there nice and tight. I bent this lock tab down over this bolt, so that way it doesn't hit that bore, because this thing right here sits in a bore in the outer primary. Keep all of that stable, so that's there. I've got the starter shaft on there. So the next operation will be to install the clutch hub. Let's get that on there, tighten the clutch hub nut, we need to tighten this compensator sprocket down. It's just finger tight on here. So we'll get all of that done. Put the primary chain on there, and we should actually be able to hook a battery to this thing and spin the starter over, spin the engine over with the battery. Okay, a couple things is happening here. I test fit the clutch hub and compensator sprocket primary chain. With the compensator that I had on there, it was not aligned. I was going to run that compensator sprocket on there because I had it, but this bike, like I said, this bike came in pieces. But fortunately, one of the pieces that it came with was an offset front engine sprocket, okay, which I have right here. You can see. Okay, this is going to be my solution, I think. I put it back on with no spacers at all, okay, like I did the first time, and the chain is pretty straight. Okay, there's no spacer here, no spacers here. I'm not sure why when I space this one and I space this one that this one doesn't move, but I don't know. I was concerned about the engagement of this anyway, pushing that clutch basket out. I don't think that I should do that. So what I'm going to do, you can see what I'm talking about here. See how those splines are sticking out? So I have this washer. This is another crankshaft washer for the engine, like to go behind the compensator nut. So I'm just going to put this on there. Okay, and that fits perfectly on the crankshaft. And there's still plenty of thread to where when I put this guy on here, it's going to run up against that spacer and protect the spline shaft, okay, so that sprocket will get tight, because otherwise that sprocket wouldn't tighten up. So now I should be good. I probably should have done it this way the first time instead of rigging something up to push the clutch basket out. So okay, I got that done. I have another side issue of the chain being a little too long here. When this is adjusted fully, I still have way too much slack here. So we're either going to need a bigger sprocket or a shorter chain. So that's a problem for later on. I can probably get away with cranking it like this. It's going to make a lot of noise and slap around, but we're just trying to get the engine to pop off, you know. So let's see what I can do with what I got here today. I'm going to put the clutch hub nut on now. This is a reverse thread on the clutch hub nut, so let's see if I can get it on there. Got that. That still sucks. That's super sloppy. nothing, I guess. Let's see what happens. It's gonna make all kind of noise. I need to tighten these up with the impact wrench, so let me get that set up. Alright, front engine sprocket, it's regular threads. Clutch basket is reverse threads. Stick a piece of wood in the chain and see if we can tighten it a little bit. Got the release plate and the release plate clip in there after the push rod was installed. It's a little bit long on the push rod, I feel like. This is almost at the end of its travel, but I mean, it is what it is. We're gonna see if this will work. As long as this will clear the primary cover, I think we're okay. Well, I took a break, made dinner and everything. It got a little late, but I continued on this thing. I got the outer primary on. Put a little quart of oil in the oil tank. Wired up some wires temporarily. I don't have any nuts right now for the exhaust pipes, so it doesn't have any pipes on it. And I opened up the carburetor. It's got a big Mikuni flat slide on it right now, and I cleaned it up a little bit, but it's missing the accelerator pump, and being as it's missing that, I'm not worried too much about it missing a cap for one of the vacuum ports there. It's right there, you can kind of see a vacuum port open, so it's not going to run, but I'm kind of tempted to turn it over and just see if it makes a little pop or something like that, you know, spray a little gas in the carburetor. Maybe I'll try first just spinning the starter over, see if the starter spins the engine at all, and then maybe that'll get a little oil circulated through the engine too, because this thing hasn't been turned on in over 10 years. It's been in storage, unknown condition. Turns over by hand. That's about all I know. It does have compression releases. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull those compression releases up. Might help if I tighten the spark plugs a little bit. Like I said, I'm not trying to get it to run. I just want it to spin over a little bit, make some noise. Let me grab a wrench and tighten those plugs up. Okay, I tightened those spark plugs up. So I'm not going to hook the ignition wire up. I've got a little wire right here that'll make the ignition hot. I'll leave that hanging for now. And I've got this little temporary push button for the starter. So test starter number 1. Well, starter spun. Alright, I had to take everything back apart real quick off the camera. I just had a couple pieces wrong on the starter jack shaft assembly. So there it is. Well, that was a success. I'll leave it at that. Well, that was pretty close, but I'm gonna keep you guys in suspense and make a cliffhanger video. My retention rate is not great on my videos, so the ones who watch this, I'm sorry. Tune in next time. We'll get this thing fired up and running. I'm real close, but I need a couple of things. That carb is missing some parts. I need a couple of nuts for the exhaust pipes. Primary chain really needs to be replaced before I fire it up. Don't feel good about firing it up with that. So tune in next time. We'll get this Ultima Chopper fired up, hear that 113 roar. Thanks again for watching Pop's Place, you guys. See you next time.